We're back. It feels like it's been a while since we've been in the same room, and you've been on some adventures, right, Steve?
Yeah, the nearest room I've been to is in a bothy drinking coffee.
Yeah, I guess you're not used to the realms of civilization and a population of more than, what, 100 people?
Not really, no, but some exciting times on some very cool bikes, Adam.
Yeah, and I think what you've done and the questions that have been raised through price to quality ratio bikes has been on the tips of your tongues and the tip of my tongue. So let's change things up. Let's start this show with quizzing you, Steve, about some of the things that happened on your adventures.
Why not?
So Steve, you've made it back from remotest, darkest, furthest Scotland, places where
actually Louis has as well.
Yeah, commendments to you both, because it's not an easy terrain to deal with.
Just want to say he did actually break a couple of the bikes.
What? All right, this is news to me. There's other questions now.
We'll come on to that later.
But I think, coming back from that trip, you were testing out two bikes that are really pushing the boundaries of price to quality ratio in a market that seems like there's so much on there, but the price is going up. What was it that chose those two bikes?
Just one thing first of all. Are you suggesting that those bikes are high quality and up for the job?
From everything that is displayed on the bikes that you can see,
no, I'm kidding.
I'd say so.
I'm kidding with you. They absolutely are. They absolutely are. And to answer your question, first of all, I need to be clear with everybody. When we went to Skye with the Vitus bike, I have actually got previous with the Vitus. And I knew there's going to be some really nasty downhill. So I thought, 160 rear, 170 front, that's going to be the bike to use in that environment.
Yeah.
Obviously, the smoother kind of Gabbro rock slabs, I knew that you could take a bike like that in that kind of place. However, on the Sker band side of things, we took the giant stance. Those bikes are around about £3,500, 125 rear, 140 front. The reason I took it into that environment was because I knew it was more about the approach to the slabs rather than the slab itself. So it was more about more of a sort of trail kind of orientated bike, because I knew I wasn't going to be kind of descending through big nasty rocks. So that's the reason. But the thing with that, I honestly, folks, I had never ridden the stance until we set sail for those hills. Well, so I think that's testament to the ability of that bike as well.
Well, you've kind of explained to the folks out there and myself why the travel of those bikes would suit the environment. But yeah. Is it travel that was the biggest factor in deciding which bike went where?
Yeah, I think the thing with, we're talking about price point bikes, right? We're talking about bikes which are £3,500 to £4,500 depending on the spec. I think what people need to understand when they buy an e-mountain bike, it's all about diminishing returns when you go up through the ranks. So for example, most bikes will have the same motor, the same battery, they'll have the same geometry, the same wheel size. So what you're actually dealing with a bike which is maybe twice, maybe even 3 times the price, because for example, when we went to Sker Ban, AD, my partner on that trip, was actually on a £13,000 Trans limited bike, electronic gearing. I mean, what that bike had that the stance didn't have was actually 20 mil more travel. Travel does matter, as you know, right, when it comes to big, nasty descents.
Yeah, it definitely plays a part in the equation. It's not the biggest part of it. I think there's a lot of moving parts that build up a bike's capability, But something that sets apart the price, like you said, doesn't come necessarily down to strength. It comes to fine-tune adjustability, right?
Yeah, I actually don't think the adjustability matters. In GMBN and EMBN and GMBN Tech, everyone will have different opinions when it comes down to adjustability and fine-tuning suspension and forks and shock absorbers. But I have to tell you that first and foremost, it comes down to suspension design, because on both the stance and on the Vitus eMtb LT, very basic shock absorbers, but I'm telling you, there was a powerful tune to the stance. There was a fantastic tune to the Vitus. It was actually a basic rock shocks with just rebound adjust.
Yeah.
So I think it proves you can have performance at a low price and also with little adjustment.
It's funny you should say suspension design earlier, because I think this then answers the question. Well, we talked about the equation that builds up a bike isn't just down to travel. Well, why not hardtail? Why not hardtail, Steve?
Adam, you can answer that question.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the terrain that you were riding on would end up removing a lot of the capabilities of the bike, not having the rear suspension.
Hey, listen, you wouldn't take a hardtail into that terrain.
No.
Absolutely not in a million. I mean, you could. You'd rattle your body to pieces. I can't. I'm already rattled to pieces. But I think you'll hopefully agree with me that you can now take a full suspension bike onto smooth trails, and the point is that the bikes we rode are at a price point where you might have a high-end hardtail, which is more money and less capable.
Yeah, that seems crazy. I think that you know, that's where it's understanding the use and the application of the bike to make sure that the right thing is being used.
I just think these are fantastic examples of. I don't actually think they're actually entry-level bikes. I think they're so capable. But I think if you're coming to buy an e-mountain bike, go in there and get a full suspension bike, because you never know what world of opportunity lies, or you don't know where you'd like to go.
Yeah.
Check Louis out. I mean, he is mad for it.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, no, that's a really good point. The verse 30. You know, it's good to learn skills on a hardtail, but there will come a wall. And what you may hit that wall may require a whole new bike. That doesn't then fit into the affordability category.
I'll keep rattling on. I think you learn different skills on a hardtail, but let's not go down that route. I think riding a full suspension bike requires different skills to riding riding a full suspension bike.
Yep.
Also, riding an e-bike requires quite different skills to riding a mountain bike.
Yeah.
Louis, he swears that he's a master of it until you take him up a super tech climb.
Oh
yeah.
Shots fired. Well, let's get down to the nitty gritty of it. I think you said they're both fantastic bikes.
They truly are.
They are. Don't get me wrong. But you know, talking of application, travel, all the rest of it. You've got a 160mm rear travel bike. You've got a 125mm travel bike. Which one do you choose?
That's an incredibly difficult question to answer. We're not even talking about geometry. I do. Oh wow! And isn't this what it's all about? This, you know, you guys. It's a huge question to answer. You know, it's a significant. You know, even though it's £4,000, it's a significant amount of money to outlay. So you need to make the right decision.
Is it not more travel, more forgiveness, no problems?
It kind of is. It kind of is. If you see yourself riding horrible downhills, there's no doubt that the cushioning and the comfort that suspension travel gives you, right? Having said that, there's also the fun, and I didn't think I'd ever say this. And Louis, we were both riding the 125 giant stance out of the wilderness of Skerban, and when you've got natural single track and you know, you're working out the terrain as you go along. There's no better feeling than moving a bike around in terrain like that. And I think a 125 bike, actually you're able to engage with the terrain a little bit more. It's true, you know, you can smash and grab through rocks on a 160 bike, but there's
no finesse.
There's a bit of a finesse involved in it. And one thing which was actually surprised me, and I didn't, it came a bit out of the blue, was the fact that there's a 469mm chainstay on that giant stance.
That's not short.
I've rattled on about long chainstays being, you know, if you've got a long chainstay and a short front center, then the balance is going to be over the front. There's more weight over the front of the bike. Of course, lengthen that front center, and you've got a long chainstay. You're bringing yourself into the middle of the bike, and because the stance has got a long front centre, long chainstay. The balance point on that size, and this is another thing which is really important, even though we've talked about travel and spec, getting the right size, the right reach to fit you is still a very important part of riding an e-mountain bike. So, and I think they've both got it right, both as a long travel bike and as a trail bike. So I think those are quite standout features.
So 160 then.
Difficult
question, difficult answer.
It is difficult, and even though we're able to give you some feedback, the bottom line comes down to the person who's going to buy the bike and where they live and what they foresee themselves riding.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
For you.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Bottom line.
If I had £3,500, £4,000, I would literally go, guys, take one stick out of the hat. I would be 100% happy with each of those bikes. And I would make it work regardless of where I lived.
Cool. So yeah, we've talked about price point bikes, but you know, there's been a few extra things that popped up on the new bikes, funnily enough, and one maybe slightly more competitively priced than say the other, but we've talked about, you know, Vitas and there you go, Giant and Vitas, which, you know, aren't classically direct sales brands. Well, Vitas maybe. So German company Propain have actually updated their Ekano e-bike. It's been a little while, but they've now got the Ekano 2, which, looking at the silhouette, it seems to follow suit of a lot of the other models on the Propain range. What do you think, Steve?
I'm a big fan of Propain. I think historically, especially with, in a previous job, was downhill orientated. Fantastic geometry, great suspension design, which is key to anything, regardless of price. What's quite interesting about this bike, Adam, 180, 190.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're asking me, should I go for 160? I mean, there's the flip side to that is, should you go 180, 190 as well? It's ever kind of...
I feel like this is a bike that fits in with full power, full fat e-mountain bikes as we've classically know them. Longer travel, biggest battery, bigger.
Yeah.
Because you've got the motor. I think the one little detail that I do really like is the name of the models. You've got the Gold Rush, Shred Squared, and Price to Ride.
Okay.
That doesn't set out what the prices are.
Well, that's a nice introduction into our next bike, right?
Well, yeah, talking about Gold Rush. Go on then.
New Pivot Shuttle AM, big fan of the Pivot. The Shuttle SL, which I rode with the Fazua. One of the best short travel bikes I've ever ridden. Just so...
How's that?
Love it. But yeah, you know, you're looking at this bike here, top end bike, €14,000, euros.
Yeah. I like the fact that, you know, they've added Bosch now, so it's got a Bosch CX performance motor or Performance CX motor, or on certain models, the Performance CX race motor, which...
It's interesting because the Pivot Shuttle was historically one of the lightest e-mountain bikes on the market, sort of 5 years ago. It's funny, like other brands have, you know, caught up. Brands such as, you know, the Old Bear Wilds, now 20 kilos, Giant Trance,
Simplon.
20 kilos, Simplon.
Yeah.
But nice to see it. Nice to see him come out with a new model, nevertheless.
Yeah. But I think there's one big Gold Rush slapping title on this: the price range. So $8,999 is the starting price, but that goes up to a phenomenal $14,000 US.
Yeah. Well, it's there. If someone wants it, it's there. But like I said, folks, let us know your thoughts on our chat about the bikes we took to Scotland.
Seems obvious to talk about cool places. You guys just got back from...
Very cool place.
Yeah, very cool place. Yeah. Louis, how was it?
Very cool.
Yeah, and Steve, how was it with Louis?
Do you know, just say something? The stoke always gets high throughout a trip. So like these guys, you know, they've been flat out behind the lens, and I think they're like, oh my God, I need to do some riding. Very carried away. At the moment that Louis took off the mountain, I thought, this is going to end in tears. Literally. And I got video hobbling back to the car.
No!
Broken disc, broken wheel, handlebars bent.
Credit rad. I'm loving it, Louis. And you didn't end yourself?
Actually, it's not good to that.
Yes, he
Let's go into other people's cool places.
Exactly.
Come on now, Steve.
Mermaid Mountain Lookout, Paul Giant Trance. That's cool, isn't it?
That is, yeah.
Mogill
stunning.
Conservation Park in Queensland. And what about this Lapia Overvault of Paul's again in Clumber Park, Nottinghamshire. Nice bit of a riverbed there to climb up.
Yeah, little waterfall.
Washington State.
Stunning
Did you know?
photo.
Have you been to Washington State?
No.
Rainfall of 14 feet per year.
That's more than Wales.
It's
Quite considerably.
yeah, it's quite a place, quite a rainforest. It's rainforest. It is a rainforest.
Quite a photo.
And what about this then, Adam? Kyle, this is in Idaho. 20-mile trail.
Loving the green. I think that's a great photo.
Yeah, folks, lovely to see what you've been doing.
So we've talked about feats of, what's capable on price point bikes. So I thought for this weekly question, why not keep it on the theme, but maybe don't go the bike side of things. Maybe go about the motor and battery system. So the question I have for you wonderful people this week is, what is the furthest you've ridden on one charge of your battery? So the furthest distance. it could have the power off. You could be riding an eco the whole time. Just the biggest feat of your achievement.
However, not like our colleague Nick Prosniewski,
No.
who did this himself, and he did 120k on one 630 watt-hour battery.
What a shredder.
Forgetting to tell us that he rode a quarter of it with the motor switched off.
Which is fine.
No, it's
let
not.
You have that.
No, you can't.
No?
That's not part of the game.
All right, okay, all
what's the
right.
furthest you've been to needs to be with the motor on.
The whole
in
time.
mode, not in switched off mode.
Tell us in the comments down below.
Nick, you're a very naughty boy.
You naughty boy.
Bike fault time, folks. First of all, we've got a Polle Voima from Norway here.
There's been a lot of these coming up on the show recently, to be fair.
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the aluminium. Actually, we didn't talk about frame material earlier on. See, I've got no problem with aluminium.
No?
I think it's one of my favourite materials. I think that's super nice, Adam.
Yeah, definitely a super nice.
Next up, from the Canolfan Ymwelwyr, which is otherwise known as the...
I was like, what is he talking about? Have you lost your mind? Welsh, that's what he's talking about.
Anyhow, brilliant day, best bike I've owned. Canivo X-Spin and Bike Park Wales, fantastic bike for that location, right?
Yeah, he's saying super nice or nice?
Super nice.
Hey.
And then,
A beautiful
San
shot.
Luis Obispo
Aaron.
on the west coast.
On his Ibis Oso. I think it's a very interesting frame design. I think I'm going to go nice.
David, White 180. We got news coming soon, folks. Anyhow, High Burnside, Aviemore, Scotland. Super nice.
Boo boo.
And then wrapping up this week's Bike Falls, Gary, up in Grayton, Western Cape, South Africa, on Specialized Leave Comp Olive 2023.
Those decals, they're not stock, are they?
Decals.
Decals.
Do you not call them stickers?
Stickers. Like that, stickers.
Stickers, isn't it?
Stickers, boy.
Tidy.
Tiny, that's a nice.
So nice. Folks, thanks so much for your Bike Vault submissions. Some beauties in there. Don't forget to send any pictures of any custom bikes or custom colours or custom componentry that you got going on.
Love it. We love our community on the EMBN channel, and I like to think that some of the things we talk about can really spark some conversations between all of you guys.
I think it's really important, actually. We don't, I mentioned in the Giant video a couple of weeks ago, the fact that we don't do official testing doesn't mean to say that we can't tell you anything that you want to know, any questions you want to know about these bikes. Just fire them our way, and we're more than happy to dive in and get engaged in that.
Honestly, leave as much as you can down below, because the more interesting and difficult those questions, the more likely we're going to try and give ourselves the challenge of answering it, right?
Yeah, and don't forget also hashtag #AskEMBNTech for more techie stuff.
Load us up.
Adam, getting social.
Yeah. What have we got on the cards today? Tom, is that how you're saying? He's keeping Stoppy Sundays alive. I love it. It's just smooth. How? But he's riding his high bike like in Innsbruck.
And Chris Birch exploring the natural tech around his locals in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's true adventure riding, right?
Yeah, I love it.
That's e-mountain biking in its rawest form. Yeah. And then last but not least, very on topic from last week's World Champs XC eMTB racing, we got Rob Williams, who is showing the course. Now, if any of you guys haven't watched it, it is gnarly. It's a gnarly course over in Scotland. So check it out and see what he's been doing on the track.
Yeah, that's it for this week's show, folks. Thanks so much for joining us. Don't forget to get involved in some questions, discussion, debate about price point bikes. And on that note, on the channel this week, we've actually got a whole subject about what you get for when you buy an e-mountain bike. 4,000, 6,000, 8,000.
14,000.
14,000. That's an in-depth video coming up on Sunday. So we'll see you then.
Take care, guys.